Sector rotation will show you what that looks like. Breakdown of the most important chart right now. Bitcoin doing a bit of a pull back in time. I had a significant loser yesterday. We're going to talk about that also. Today we've got two voting Fed members speaking and the FOMC meeting minutes coming out today. And this week in general is going to be a big one. But before we get going, check out the channel memberships. We've got some great stuff going on in there. You get your most bang for your buck in the Stalagmite level, where you get those real-time trade posts and members-only videos where I talk about those trades. We've also got SodaStraw and Stalactite, where you get the badges, you get the emojis, early access to videos while they are processing and upscaling in YouTube. You can watch them during that time when they're not accessible to the general public. Also, priority replies to comments and member shoutouts if you get the Stalactite level. Let's get right into things though. So we've got two Feds today. We've got Waller and Bostich. If we go look at the hot dove sheet, we got Waller is one of the doviest doves around, and Bostich is a centrist. So, and they are voting members, so what they say actually carries weight. So that will be going on today. One's at 11 a.m., one's at 3 p.m., but at 2 p.m. we get the FOM meeting minutes, where we find out what happened with that dissent in the Fed, where we had two voting members vote against the consensus last time. So we're going to learn about that today. So expect volatility today. All right, what happened? Oh, first of all, let's talk about our loser. Yesterday, I had a loser. Look at this thing. This thing was wicked. 42% down. This one hurt, but we're managing this. We are managing this. In Stalagmite, we are managing this. And I didn't panic when I saw this. And in fact, I had to make an emergency video after yesterday's morning video because I noticed this had happened. And I was like, oh, that sucks. And I had to go in and talk about how I was going to manage this. It's not about, at this point, it's not about winning or losing. It's about managing. Managing trades to the point where you either lose the least amount possible or you actually turn it into a winner. And I've done this before. I'll do it again. If you'd like to know how that works, that's what we do in Stalagmite. Anyways, yeah, this thing fell 42% because their drug worked. So Viking Therapeutics is working on a GLP-1. It's a weight loss drug. It works, but they were having issues with people getting gastrointestinal issues and dropping out of their trial at higher rates than investors were comfortable with, and as a result, they had a 42% drop in one day. Now that's pretty dramatic, and that volume is insane. In fact, I don't think there's a bigger negative volume bar out there. And there is not any time in recent memory. Most of them are big buys, right? That is the single largest, single largest selling bar pretty much in this stock's history, except one right here, which was in 2018. What happened in 2018? Let's take a look here. It was actually at the top. And it was after a big run up, and then it came bleeding down after that. So we're going to see if this gets any kind of a bounce, if any kind of news comes through. Basically, I'm not panicking. I'm just managing, and that's it. So don't say I didn't bring you my losers. This is one of them, and it is nasty, and it happens sometimes. But of course, this was currently the position is, in terms of loss, is less than 2% of the portfolio. So I could cut this for a complete loss right now, and it still really wouldn't be a significant part of the portfolio, and that's how you manage these things. So like I could take this hit and it's really not a big deal because I kept the position fairly small. All right, anyways, the most important chart broke down. MAGS plus Oracle plus Palantir plus AVGO. Yesterday that dropped 5.39%. We went through the 20-day moving average. We're coming down on the bottom Bollinger Band. Will it bounce? Will it bounce at the bottom Bollinger Band? Maybe, which is also the 50-day moving average pretty much. For this chart, will it bounce off that? I don't know. We'll see. I'm not very interested till it breaks this line right here. This orange one, there's this flag line. I do think it might consolidate a bit sideways, maybe come a little further down. From here, we could potentially see this thing drop because this makes up a significant part of the economy. something like nearly 40% of the economy. Actually, no, because the Mag 7 is like 35%. So this might be more than 40% of the economy. I don't know the exact numbers. Too early in the morning for my brain to work that well. So we're looking at, yeah. I mean, I'd be eyeing this little, see this over here on the right, that little spike on the volume profile. I'd be looking there, around there, about 20% drop, which would be a fairly healthy pullback after this insane run. On the SPY, that would represent, since this makes up nearly half of the SPY, I'd be looking for SPY to come back down to about the 50-day moving average off this, which would be about 623. And I'm really, honestly, that really wouldn't be that big of a deal. It would be an average pullback. Let's see, if we went to like 623, somewhere around there, that's only a 3% pullback. Normally we get several 5 and a few, 1 or 2 up to 10% pullbacks in a year, which would be, right, we could go as low as 590 and still be less than 10% from the top. So that's really not a big deal, but it is something to watch. It's sector rotation that we're looking at right now as well. And here, hold on, I got to bring that up. All right, these are the sectors here, and this is what happened yesterday, and this is why I'm saying I'm looking at sector rotation here. Do you notice anything about this? We've got healthcare up over 0.5%, real estate up almost 2%, utilities up almost 1%, consumer staples, not discretionary, but staples up 1.3%, while tech is down nearly 2% in a day, and the S&P itself is down over 0.5% in a day. That is sector rotation. These are defensive sectors. We are looking at these, especially I've been watching healthcare, but I should, I guess, be looking at consumer staples. And this is sectorspdrs.com, shows you what's going on there. This is very important to pay attention to. If this continues for a couple of days, this is going to be a big deal. Okay, it's going to be a big deal. So if I go here, I go to consumer staples, right? And I go into holdings. What are their top holdings? I might consider running some cash secured puts on these. And in fact, I've run some on some of these. Like I had Pep. I made a pretty good amount of money on Pepsi, and I might actually buy more Pepsi. PG, I made a little bit of money on Procter & Gamble off of some options flows. So I might consider doing some more of that. Target, if their earnings are good this week, I might just grab some Target just as a hedge to this overall market. Okay, that's all. Sector rotation, we're seeing it happen. If we continue to see these defensive sectors perform well for the next couple of days, especially after the FOMC minutes come out, especially after Jackson Hole on Friday, then we are looking at a full-on rotation out of tech, out of other those high flying stocks and into the more defensive sectors. Okay, so pay attention to that. And we're going to be looking at that closely in Stalagmite. I'll be bringing it up here on the channel as well. So check that out. Bitcoin came down to a very important level, and it looks like it's trying to go up. Once we cross this line, I'm looking at it to come back up to about 117 before it struggles again and then carries on. We are still looking at the global liquidity here. We are in that point right now, right, where it came down, and we did a little bit later, right, a little bit later. Then it's going to go sideways a little bit, and then it starts carrying on up again. So if this thing isn't moving up again by like August 25, 26, then I'll start to sweat a little bit, but I'm not too concerned, especially because it's going to pop up. It's going to come back down almost to the same level, and then it's going to continue going on. It's going to grind. It's going to be a grind. It's not going to be like an absolute, moonshot right away, I don't think. And we are watching this hard right edge over here for this, because this, look at this. Like early November, late October, we get that drive in global liquidity all the way back down to where we are right now. So we might see that drop later as well, and then hopefully this starts to curl up and take out this high and these highs back here on the left and go even higher for global liquidity to show us that Bitcoin really is going to have a blast off sometime later in the year. Anyways, that's all I've got for you today. Please like, comment, subscribe, share this video. It does so much to help the channel. I appreciate all of you for that. Check out the channel memberships, especially that Stalagmite level where we do the real-time trade posts. And, we learn a thing or two about selling cash secured puts, about taking, measured risk, and sometimes managing a loser. It happens. And have a profitable day.